Oh shit, it's error or something.
No,
Error.
it's live.
Oh, it says streaming, meetup streaming live on YouTube.
Yeah,
Hi,
now
YouTube.
we are streaming.
Hi,
Let me
world.
check it on YouTube. No, we are not live.
No?
You're not live yet.
We are not live.
1 second, one more try.
But you say live.
And go live. Now is going live. 1, 2, 3. Preparing live stream. Waiting a second. I wanna also.
Okay, we have 10 seconds delay. I just realized it on YouTube. No, 30.
So I can prepare my slides.
Oh, okay. Okay, everybody. So we are live now, and welcome to second online event, Angular online event. Today we have Mr. Dave Millerson. Hello, Dave.
Hi.
And Mr. Michael Hladky. Hey,
Hello.
Michael. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we can start now. And the first in the line is Dave. Dave, the stage is yours. Have fun, bro.
Woohoo! Wait, let me share my screen. Woohoo! Oh, wait. First of all, we need to talk about something very special before I start my presentation. We need about that we have a new member in our family. So the host of this meetup, Darius, became recently a GDE.
Wow! Yeah.
This is great. Woo! Finally. So
I was muted.
Finally.
It was very funny because we just talked about this, and you said, "Oh no, I have a GDG. So this is everything is okay." And then I was, wait, why is he not a GDE? But he's oh yeah, now you are. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm happy.
Okay, my presentation is about Cypress, obviously because my slides are already open and saying Cypress. Okay, let me find my, let me show you, just talk about the agenda. First of all, we talked about the most important thing in this meetup about me. No, and then we talk about Cypress, and then we talk about how to use. Okay, I'll do a quick one. My name is David Müllerchen. I love the way you pronounce it, Darius. It was very great. You can read all the information about me at the slide, so I'll wait for a second. Next. You can find me on Twitch, on Instagram, and on Twitter with this handle webdave_de. Reach out to me, follow me, ask questions, and let's have fun. So one of my mottos, which is the favorite motto of my friend Michael Hladky, is community rocks. So I'm a bit hyper active in doing community work. So I do a lot of community stuff in Germany, in Austria, in Switzerland, in all over Europe, even in Poland. I've been there several times. And and I run my own meetup group here in Hamburg. And I'm part of the Google Developer Expert. So I'm a brother of Darius and of Michael, a GDE brothers. Yeah. Okay, and I rock also. Wait for it. Okay, that's it. Okay. Oh wait, let me jump to this. So this talk is based on my blog post. I wrote wrote recently about Cypress, and a lot of credits go to Gleb. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, and he helped me a lot about some questions I had, and he read my blog post and gets a lot of insights and help, and yeah, he fixed a lot of bugs in my blog post. So thanks for this. Okay, first of all, what is Cypress? Cypress is an end-to-end testing tool. It's based on an Electron client, and it works like a kind of proxy, which is a different way than you maybe know for end-to-end testing. You know, some kind of protractor or a Selenium test where you have a server, which is somewhere, and you host your website there, and then you call the website from there, and then you load all the stuff into your test environment. And Cypress is this server and the host of your browser. So you have full control about the traffic and about the interaction with your website. We talk about this later in a second. So this is how this client is looking. It's look like. It's the UI client, so called. But first of all, very important, what is E2E testing? E2E means end-to-end testing. Means like it's the user approach, like the user would behave or interact with your website. So you can test the same way your user would behave on a website, like user stories or user journeys. Like as a user, I want to enter this website and order a ticket or some ice cream or some drinks. And then I want to get the bill and all this stuff. You can test all the way through the back end and the way back to the front end, which sounds weird because back end, wait, okay. So end-to-end testing, just end-to-end. But how to integrate in your project? So there are several ways you can integrate in your projects. This is an Angular meetup, as I recognize. So let's talk about, sorry, how to integrate it in your Angular application. There are some schematics out there, how you can add it to your project. I used the pre-pack in my case. The pre-pack Cypress schematic means you can use some generator and automatization to integrate Cypress inside of your workspace and replace Projector, which is the default end-to-end testing tool. I know there is a new Cypress schematic coming, or it just was released by Fabian Gosebring, I guess. So I'm not sure if it is live. So I have to talk to him and test it, and then I will let you know how great it is. But this is all you have to do. Just run these schematics, and after this you can run the test like you do in all the all your Angular CLI environment. Just ng E2E, and your end-to-end testing is running with Cypress. At the first run, it will generate a new folder. It will generate some folder structure, and it will download it will set up your Electron client. And this folder is very important because your tests are in there. So we have a Cypress folder, which is on the root level of your project, as you can see, as here on your on the node modules folder here at the same level. And in this Cypress folder, there is this fixtures folder where you can put default data or fixture data you use for your testing. Integration is where you write your tests. So all your tests are in this folder. You can write or use plugins. So there are several plugins on the website. You can check out cypress.io and search for plugins. There are a bunch of awesome plugins. And you can use own functionalities to use some kind of plugins, but they are just functions. You can then provide some support for different tooling like login and so on. This is the stuff you will find in the support, or we put in the support folder. Okay, now let's go to the scary part of this talk. I want to try to live code. And if you know me, then you will already know that it will gonna be fun. So let's check out here is this is my project. This is just a normal Angular project I just started, ng-serve, which is the this version with this this website where you can check out the starter project of this. Oh wait, it takes too long for me. Let's even go to the NGS. I already integrated the I run already the schematic, so you can see here's my Cypress folder, and here's the fixtures folder where I have the example fixtures. This is just the stuff you get here. This is by default done there. Then the integration, which is the specs TS. All this stuff is done by me for to help me and have some hints to cheat. If everything goes crazy wrong, then I will just flip over to this. Then here's the plugin folder. Nothing that important because it's already everything is just commented out. So, and the support folder where you can just write commands for stuff. Okay. First of all, let's kick off the end-to-end testing. So in the CLI, as you can see in the package JSON, it's just E2E, ng E2E, or npm run E2E. I have access to the CLI, so I can run ng E2E. And there is this warning that my global CLI is greater than my, and so on. Ignore it. Now it will do a normal build for ng-serve. It starts the ng-serve, and then it starts the Cypress client, and then I can start the testing. Let me just fix something here. I guess I need to put this somewhere. Yes, move. Okay. Just to be sure that I have no solution in the first point. So somewhere should be my my end-to-end, my Cypress client starting. So I'm waiting for this. It starts the Cypress client. It should find that the Cypress folder is already there. So I'm waiting for this. I hope my machine. Oh, there is it. There it is. This is the Cypress testing client. This is the Cypress client. And there you have several tabs where you all the tests, and you can check which kind of stuff you can run, and some settings which are not that important to talk about. You will find a lot of documentation about this on the website. I don't want to waste my time and your time. We're talking about this. Interesting is, here you will have all the spec files, which will automatically be found here from this folder. So that's the reason why I just moved them to there. And then you have here the this run all specs. This means you run all these integration tests and all the test files. And if you click at one of these, then you run only this one. And it runs in watch mode, obviously. So it means if I fix the test, or if I fix my code, it will rerun the test. So let's start this one. You can, oh, this was quick. This was very quick. This is my, this is the Cypress testing UI. Yeah, this means this is the client where your website is and your tests are running in. So this here is the control panel, if you want to say it like name it like this, and this is your actually test. This is separate. You can separate this in 3 parts. This here is the reporter. Here we will get the report of your test. You can see, okay, we have one test which fails and nothing which was green. This is very sad. It took me 9 seconds of my life to see that it doesn't have successfully run. Then we can rerun for sure. And then we have here the steps we run in our test. We will have a look at this in a second. Then we have here our output, which means this is the browser which runs in an iframe where your website is be displayed. As you can see, this is the obvious the starting the starting project of the CLI, which is generated at the moment, and where you can click on this stuff and can then check for stuff. I already added this. I put here an input field so that I can access to this and show how you can get this running and test this stuff. And we have here the browser bar, which means this is the the location reference to this page, and we have here a selector, like a the selector which called the playground. With this, you can try to find stuff at your page. Click on it, and then you can select the stuff on your page. Say, okay, I want to find this one, and then it will give you the selector path to this particular element of your page. If you are not sure how to find this an element, you can just start typing, like, let's find a span, and it will say, hey, we have a lot of spans, 11, and then we can say, okay, let's say it's a span and it has the card. Have we a card? No. And you can specify it way more, that you end up with at least only one. Okay, this is the idea. And then you can pin it to the console, bring it to the console, or you can copy it, the selector, to this. Okay, this is just tooling. Let's take a look on the actual test. The test is here. And we have, this is my test. It says, okay, it's the same syntax like you maybe hopefully know from the Angular from the unit testing and protector. You have it. You can start a test, and then you can give it a name, and this is the test case for this. And this is the this default test which will be generated by default at the beginning when you start the project. So it says, hey, load examples, and then this is the base URL, and then here's the very first, most important command on your for your test. This is visit. This means, hey, browser, go on, kick out, get this page, and then you the Cypress is completely async driven, means it waits for loading times and waits until stuff is loaded to the time, so you don't have to start with timeouts and sleep timers and all this stuff. You can start, okay, visit this page. Once this page is visited and the website says, hey, I'm done, it will be jump to the next line, and then this is the first test. It means, hey, in our test case, in our website, we should find the website should contains these kinds of text, and it says replace it with something relevant. Means this is just a dummy test, a must failing test, which is a very good approach to start with a must failing test, just to be sure that your test environment works. And then you can start with to make it green, and then you will see, okay, green works also, so you have both sides tested. Okay, let's check the website. First of all, I would say, okay, let's check for this. Let's check for Cypress test app is running. Okay, means we just put here Cypress test. So I'm too bad in writing or I'm too good. My power is so strong in doing a typo, so I skipped it to just Cypress test. So it means it visited the site, then it said, hey, I should contain. And if you take a look at my mouse cursor here at the left side, you can see you can hover over the lines on my test, and it shows what happens here. Means visit says this, and contains, it highlights this line, this element here, and says, hey, I found it here. And if you click on it, then you can pin this UI. So if you have some interaction because you click the button or whatever else, then you can see the before and after DOM snapshot, and it will toggle. If I unpin it, it would start, if there is an interaction, it would start toggling the pre and after test case of my site. But this is just a empty test, or it's just a dummy test. Let's start a real test. So first of all, I want to test. So I have a question to do, Darius. How many time do you have? How much time do I have?
Okay, as you want.
Okay, so okay, I don't want to do that much. Okay, let's find an element and oh yeah, let's find this index. So this is my app component HTML, and here's the input. So the input, it has a class named Hurz because this is a very famous German word. So if you need to know if at least one single German word, it is Hurz. Okay. Okay. So I want to write a test and find an input field with the class Hurz, and then I want to type in it. Okay. So every test test command starts with a psi, and you have a very great IntelliSense from Visual Studio Code and all the others IDEs, because it's very well documented for TypeScript, and the type definition files are great. So we can say, okay, let's get. Get is the first very next important command you have in Cypress. With this, you can grab an element. So we can say, okay, and selector. This is just CSS selector, as you know them from your CSS rules. And I want to say, okay, I need an input. I want to be very specific, okay? And with the class Hurz. If I'm not sure if it works, I can test this in the IDE, okay? I can test it here and can say, okay, let's check if I can find it. Okay, it works, yeah? So this is a good case for me to check if there is a typo. Get, and then we can check that it is empty. There is a command called should. And should gets chainer, which means these are just constant strings which are mapped internally with test commands. We can say, and oh, of course, this is I love it. This is it's a strong type, so it's not able for me to type foo in it. It should give me an error, at least. But let's find the should be empty. Be empty. Let's check if it works. So okay. It says, oh yeah, it's empty. Yeah, it's green. This is great. So then I want to type in it. And you can change this stuff like dot, and you can just, for example, you can just click, add a click, which means it's a button click, or you can, in our case, we want to type. Type means you can enter string or number, whatever, and say, okay, type this inside of an input field. And we want to type hello new GDE friend. Is there a typo? No, no typo. Unbelievable. Okay, I save it. And let's check. Oh, wait, let's do it again because it was too quick. Okay, it's unbelievable. Magic. Where's my confetti? Wait, I have no confetti. So, hello new GD friend. Okay. Then we can, so this is very helpful if you want to test some forms and fill in stuff and want to check if it has a class and all this stuff. No? For example, we could also use it to get input. It should has class foo. Okay. Then next, I just copied the line because I want to get a new line and no line breaks. I want to should contain is the thing I want to find. Should what's it be? Oh, I'm not. I have to contain. And contain is then you need a value. This is should container contain the value any, and then I can test if it is in. If I find the stuff I just wrote in it. Yeah, we could argue about it if this is a very good test. It's a screen test, so it's good. Now, in normal ways, we would get data from a backend, and then we would check if we have the data filled in the form, for example. Okay, this would be the information we want to go. Okay, let's save and check this, and it should. Oh wait, he jumped out to the next one. So let's do this. And hello, my friend. Why type? Why is not he typed and then input? He found it. Before, after. Yeah, he does. Okay, where's my timeout retry respecting blah contain hello blah. Hey, what else? Let's find my problem. Okay. Should contain, no, should have value, is it? I guess have value. I guess it was this. So I mess up every time with this. Oh yeah, it is this. So it checks if this input field has value. Contain means it would check the inner HTML. Okay. So it said, okay, it has value. So this is a green test, obviously, because I just typed it in, but this is how we could test it. Let's click on add this one, okay? Add PWA support, and then let's check if this one here has this command in it. So this is just a terminal-like picture where you can then click on it and it would say, hey, let's this, and so on. And it should then add some stuff. So in this field here, which should look like a terminal. And I want to click on PWA. And then I want to check if there is the input field. So we could say, let's go there. Pre. Oh, is there just one pre? Oh yeah, this is great. What we else can do in Cypress is we can, if we have stuff we use very often, we can save it in a variable as an alias. So we could say, okay, sci.get, and we just learned there's only one pre tag, and then let's say as, oh wait, dot as, and then we can name the name we want to put it in the alias. So this means this is my terminal output. Let's say terminal. And let's check for the PWA. Find PWA. Select value PWA. This one. Okay. Let's find this. I guess it's this one. And we can now let me just verify this. Okay, let me just copy this one. Oh wait, stop it. Yeah. Okay. I want to take this one. Okay, copy it. So this is a easy way to get your stuff. And let me save this in my here. Oh wait, I messed up a bit, but no. Okay, this one. And we want, I save it as PWA. Okay, this is just my PWA button. So this means now we can use this where in my test spec file, and we can use these alias to get it. So we can say, okay, we save this. Sci.get as always, but this time we say give it this at terminal. But first of all, we have to click on PWA, okay? And then we say click. So he should find it. Oh, he already did it. So, and click means he clicked here. If you hover over the click, you can see the red dot even in the UI. You can see where actually you clicked on, and you can see now the DOM snapshot toggling before and after this action, which is totally great. And then let's check if the terminal has these content. Means sci.get. So alias will be set just like this. And if you want to get the alias, you have to add the @ sign. Okay, this is at terminal. Typo? No, but no @ Okay, and then you can say contain in this case, because we check it as inner HTML, and we can check for this here. Let me just find it. Give me this. It's the wrong one. I need to go here. Contain. Okay, I rerun it because it's so fast. And you said here, hey, let's see this one. So this is how you can interact with your website and with just clicking and selecting and checking all this stuff. And this is almost everything you can do with this, but there is even more. There is even more. Unbelievable. Let me just show you my my final spec. You can define routes. Routes means you need to connect to the server, which means you connect with the server inside of this test UI, which means it's the proxy, yeah. And then you can define routes. Means you define spies on routes on this route. Like I show you here, you can say, okay, my API, and then you can, if you want, you can define the responses for this. So means if there is a service calling this API, then please respond with this data, fixture example data, which means this one. Okay, this is what it will then return for you. And we can let me check what else can you can also define the routes as for an alias, and then you can wait for this. You can say, okay, if someone called this route, then I want to check if the response contains foo, ba, bus, whatever. You can check if the body of the response is equal or deep equal to stuff you just sent. Let me just check if I have the stuff here. No, I don't have it. I don't have it here. Example spec. Oh yeah, here for example. Here we I said, okay, we answer this, and then you can say, okay, let's call, this is my delete route, and I saved it as delete, and then you can check for @delete, and can say, okay, someone called this URL, and you can check if the body which is returned is should equal to this, for example. This URL, this call, and then its request body should be equal to these stuff. This is how it works. Okay, let me just show you one awesome thing, which is also very great. Let me just check here what is going on. Okay, I don't need this. I don't need this. If you want to check, or if you use your test and you want to get some documentation that about your test, you can document, take photos, which means you can say and screenshot. And then you can specify the name of this picture. Means type underscore done. So this is the name of the image I take. And if you wait for it, then there's the screenshot folder where you get this here, and it says, hey, this is the state of my application. I took this picture right after I entered and tested it. This is great, isn't it? So you can you can document your stuff by all your stuff in your you can take as much screenshots as you want. What else can we do? We can run the Cypress inside of the CI, which is very helpful because if you want to do end-to-end testing after every deployment to check if everything went well. So maybe you want to deploy at night or whenever, and you want, or at least you want to check automatically that it means before you deploy or after you deploy or both, you want to check if the website is running. Then you have to run it in the CI. And the command your CI should run is very easy. It's just, oh, I moved this. It's just, yeah, I want to move this. The command is, let me just show you, CI. This is just the command I want to define. And the command to run is CI run. That's it. Now your CI can run this npm run CI command, and the Cypress will run. We can also say Cypress run, I guess. Let's check this. And for sure we have, I want to prove it that it is able to do it like this. Let's see, npm run CI. Run CI, which sounds crazy. Means now he just runs the website and takes the tries to run the stuff. So now it says one found, spec found, CI, running undefined. Okay, let's check. Running specs undefined. So let's wait for it. Because now the problem is on your CI, you can't see anything, and maybe you want to be sure that it works, and maybe you already noticed something, and even this field here, it says, hey, video starting, ending. It took a video of my test. Unbelievable. So let's check it. Let's check, where is my test? Oh, not this one. I want to run it and show you how to reveal in my, this one. Oh, it's empty. Why? Because the CI needs to run, now I have to run the ng-serve separately, okay? So let's do it. ng-serve, now it runs, and we can rerun the CI thing. And let's do it. So where's my video? The video is here. Let's just remove this. So in test case, you will get a video of this of your test. Let's check that it works. Oh, it says screen, and he took a screenshot and he took a video again. Woo! So wait, let's check if it works. So you can document your test even if it is if you run in the CI, it will take a video of your testing and then it will save it in your Cypress folder in your project that you can prove that it was green. Great, isn't it? I love it. I love this feature. So you can see, yeah, it takes some seconds, so it isn't worth for my test, but my test itself took me about, let me see, 7 seconds was the complete test. Try to beat this with Protractor, and for sure the developer experience, I name it DX, is great with Cypress because of all these IntelliSense of all the methods and all this stuff. So let me just check my setting list. I did this. Oh, only thing I didn't show you is you can, as you can see here, you can use describe and before each and before all and before and after each and after all these methods which you know from other testing and frameworks. You can use them in Cypress the same way to arrange and to compose your tests and to have readable specs. Okay, let me just put this back to here. Yes, I want to move, and let me just run this CI again. I hope it works. I hope I have no issues in this. Wait, it's not this one. It was this one. Let's see. So we should have some failing tests because of maybe some wrong examples, and we should have some tests which are green. So first, filter for GW. I don't know what kind of name it was. So this is my, this was this one. User list and example, this one, okay. Okay, let me just hack. Okay, so this is the test for the final test I wrote, which means we test if there is some stuff in there. So Cypress test app is running should be tested. Then I added a list of commands, and I clicked on each of these, and it should click on each of these and check if it contains the stuff I expect in my terminal here. And if we see here, it should be specs, final specs. This is my test, and it should show us how awesome it works. Awesome. I love it. If you want to learn more about this, go to the website Cypress.io. And if you want to read more about this, go to my blog post and find out more about this. And if you meet Gleb somewhere, giving a hand, and greetings from me. That's it for me. Thank you for having me, and I'm done with my test, and everything was green, and everything went well. I'm so happy.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, Dave. It was a great presentation. And yeah, it's your energy, man. I love it. I love it. Okay, Michael, where are you?
I am here.
Okay, so now the stage is yours. So one more time, big applause for Dave. And yeah.
Yay!
Thank you.
And now the stage is yours, Michael. Have fun.
Great, thanks a lot. Let me share my screen. Here we go. There is a slideshow. I present. Can you see my screen? Okay. Extending Angular for the reactive web. This is the title, and to be honest, this is a little bit of a risky talk because it is a lot of live coding and it is a lot of stuff that is not even released yet. So
Michael, we can't see the slides.
You can't see the slide.
Yeah, we can't.
Well, then let me share the slides. Can you see the slides now? Is it good now? Can you see the slides?
It's perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, so as we can see the slides now, cutting edge stuff. What I do is I work with PRs that are not merged already. So excuse me if something is not really working or if I have some problems. Okay, let's start. What I want to talk about is extending Angular for the reactive web. What does it mean? I will give you a current state of Angular. What reactivity is Angular offering us? I will introduce you to some maybe already known tools. There is the RX state service that I created, the reactive component state layer, and then also two of my contributions to Angularians component, which is the push pipe and the leg directive. I will do a very, very big demo. I will demonstrate that the stuff is really working, not only theory, even if it is really risky. And then I will give you a roadmap, what I will work on in the next year, because this might be really interesting. Okay, my name is Michael. I'm at Trilon as lead constructor, as lead instructor, and we basically help a lot of big companies to scale, to keep up with modern technologies, and also to tackle their challenges and solve it in a really, really solid way. Okay. What's the current state of Angular? I'm working now with Angular since a couple of years. Nearly one of the first releases was the one Angular version that I tried, and I can tell you, if you have a lot of complex behavior and a lot of asynchronous actions, it is a mess. It is really hard to team the stuff, and therefore you will have a lot of bugs, a lot of potential bugs, and not only potentially, there are a lot of bugs. And this is all because we are used to this imperative programming that obviously leads to a lot of bugs and memory leaks when you work with asynchronous stuff. And as we know, the browser is 90% of asynchronous stuff. And what is best to manage async and also sync stuff in a very convenient way? RxJS. So what I do is I use RxJS, the technology itself, also built into Angular, to structure and to reshape Angular a little bit. I use it to give like more structure, and I organize processes in the event, and I also help to separate different things. For example, today I will show you how to separate state management and rendering, and then bring them together in the end. This is basically what the current state is and where I want to go to. So where is the reactivity in Angular at the moment? On the global level, there is, we have the router, we have the global state management things. On the component level, we are more or less limited to the reactive forms, and in the template we have the async pipe, which is boring. So even if we have a lot of global reactivity at the point where it is really needed, at the template, at the rendering, on component level, we have very, very little support. A common architecture looks like this. On the global level, we use the router, we use HTTP service, then we have some custom glue, maybe we have NGRX state management, something like this. On the component level, there is only the forms, we need other custom glue, and the rest is basically missing. So I believe a lot of people don't know what they are missing. And I want to change this. I want to change a setup that looks like this, a lot of different and confusing data flow, a lot of bugs, and I want to introduce this mentioned set of tools. I want to introduce a set of tools that help you to structure the chaos and to give you a very clean and smart data flow and rendering process. Big goals, but I can give you some proofs that I can really reach them. So the three things that I want to talk about today is state management, or the RX state service that I released for component level reactive state management, then the push pipe and the let directive, and those two helpers I released under NGRX/component, and I hope that I can also do way more contributions there in the future. Okay, so the first thing that I present you is RX State, a state management library for component level that is also here as reactive glue between your global component and template layer. Let's take a look at the API. So a state has some state, of course, a state management thing has some state, and I can set this state imperatively, and this method is called set. I can get the state imperatively, and this method is called get. And then I have connect. Connect is not setting a single value, but connecting a whole stream of values to a specific state slice or to the whole state. And with the select method on the other end, it is the same. It selects a part of the state or the whole state. Then I have the dollar symbol, which is exposing the state itself, all its changes, no specific selection. And at the bottom, we have a method that is called hold. And hold is basically here to hold a side effect, to maintain the subscriptions of a side effect. If we take a look at the interfaces, pretty symmetric, same as with this beautiful API. I have an observable partial T that could be connected. I can select an observable of partial T. The state itself is the observable T, no partial, and then I can set and get partial T's, no observable. My hold function obviously is not returning anything. It is just maintaining the subscription of a side effect. And this is a lot of theory, and now I will stop talking and start coding. I will show you a very, very simple list. Let me refresh the page here. I have a list, and this loading spinner here shows me there is an HTTP request running in the background. Here I have the number of items. I have also the number of items here. Every 10 seconds, there is an automated refresh triggered that is running in the background. And also when I click the button, I trigger an HTTP request, update the global state, receive the new value, and my list changes here. Also, I can control, if I type here numbers, maybe focus on this this line here, and if I go under over 1 second, you see I can specify the time interval in which I auto refresh my list here. So a pretty simple exercise, and I want to start with a completely imperative approach. Let me open up my component and show you that there is nothing big reactive. I have only one async pipe in my template, and this is the reason because I have to. I use a global state management tool called NGRX, and I have to more or less get state out of this global state management tool and render it in the template. The rest is really imperative. As you can see, I have also some button click methods, some imperative side effects. I also have subscription handling, which is done here imperatively. Now let me show you the first thing that a component, the RX state service, can do for you to leverage reactive component state. First, let me introduce it into my application, and here I extend the component with my service. RX state is the service, and I type it with an interface that is called component state. This is the state that I want to render in my template, not the values that are stored in my class. I don't like extending it, just that you get a very quick idea, and we have a shorter API. The API is not directly on the class, so I can say this set, this connect, instead of injecting it and say this state.set.get. Just that you know there are also other options. Now let me introduce something that represents the state. Here I have $, and $, is basically the model. So here I can say this, and then I say select. And this select method basically selects me a partial slice of my state or the whole state itself. Maybe let's call them the state view model. It is a little bit more intuitive. Okay, the state is set up. Let's initialize the state, because we have here this initial component state values used everywhere. I can do it now all in once. Let me quickly use it, and here I can say this set, and then I can use the initial.
Michael?
Yes?
We can't see your code.
Why is nobody interrupting me?
No,
I was just scrolling through the message and answering, and I thought, oh wait, there is no code.
Can you see the code now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Sorry for the fuck. Okay. Screw it. Okay. 0 foxes given. I restart quickly. I extend my class here with the RX state, and then I set up a variable called view model, and then here select. So I select the state. This is everything I did, nothing special. Here in my constructor, I use the initial state and initialize it, also with the set function. So I set a state, and then I can update it reactively and also select it reactively. The second thing is I need to glue together my input binding. As we know, my parent component can control the refresh interval, so I need to somehow set the refresh interval. In this case here, I again leverage this set method, and I pass in an object with key value. And in this case, the key is also the value, my reset interval, my refresh interval. And in this case, I set it my refresh interval. The next thing after I reset my interval, I basically could later on delete this variable. I will do it in a little bit. The next thing that I can do is I can take a stream of values from the template and connect it also to my state. For example, there is the list expanded state if the list is open or closed, and this state should also get managed. So I have the list expanded state, the initial state, and I also have a subject in the template that is basically nexting a value whenever it is called. So I can say this, and then I leverage the connect method, this, and now I want to connect an observable directly to my state slices without calling subscribe or anything else. And this is the beauty of the connect method. You can basically take an observable, call connect, no subscription handling, and everything is done in the background. What I do now is I connect a specific observable, or this stuff from a template that is called the change or list expanded state, and I map it to another value. Basically, I map it to an object that is now merged into my component state. And under the key, list expanded, I map this boolish value here. Perfect. So I connected basically the states that the input box is open or closed, or the list here is open and closed. The next thing, a little bit more tricky, how can I connect the global store, NGRX store, to my local state management? Let's see how we did it so far. Okay, here we have this stored and we have a mapper function and we deal with initial state. Okay, so I basically cut this out and I delete the whole store list itself. I go down and I again connect it. Here I have a connect method and I basically directly put this observable in again. I don't need an initial state. In this case, I leverage a second overload of the connect function. And now I want to basically store under a key that is called list, the output of this observable. And this observable is basically my NGRX state that is selecting the repository list and displaying the list in my template. That's it. When done, I could basically refactor my whole template. You see, I have a lot of red variables. Let me quickly introduce an ng let. This is the first time I use a new directive, and here I can say let me bind the output of an observable directly to a value in the template. And here I can say I have my view model, and my view model basically is passed, and I say let me define the view model under a variable that is called VM, and then I have VM available in my whole view. Now I could say vm.list. I can directly access it and I can replace all the other things and of course all the other async pipes with my view model list. As you can see, it is not really a big refactoring, and we are now refactored, fully reactive in our template when rendering. This is pretty cool. There are also some side effects left in my class, but as you can see, we also got rid of a lot of code and also leveraged a very, very easy API, the set and the connect method, and here we leveraged the select method. Now, if we look at this side effect here, refresh side effect, whenever the automated tick is called, I schedule a side effect every 10 seconds, I dispatch an action and say, fetch repository list. And then an HTTP request is filed. And this thing is basically fetched, downloaded, and displayed in the template. This is a imperative side effect where I again have to maintain manually a subscription. Let me show you first that in step 2, everything is running now. Even with my reactive changes, I can reactively change the input binding. I can open and close. And those numbers here are pretty interesting because they show me how often the template is re-rendered. And when I animate, you can see there is quite a lot of rendering going on. Also, if I click, there is a rendering, even if nothing else is happening. So a pretty interesting number. I will get back to this later, just that you see it's still working. Let me switch to the step 2. And in step number 2, I will show you how to handle side effects. So we have this pretty clumsy self-maintained subscription handling with a side effect here and then a button click here. So what I will do is first, I will make the template reactive. I do it in a very, very, let's say, primitive and naive way. I will use a subject, but there is a library outside from Dominic Elm. It is called ng template streams, and you can do this with this library in a way more elegant way. And I would really recommend to take a look at it and using it. Okay, instead of calling my manual callback after I click, I basically just change it to next the value in my subject, in my created subject. And then I can start to introduce something that is called refresh list event. So this should be fully reactive and property that holds an observable, maintaining or providing my side effect. And what I do is I start with the stuff that I already have. I have this side effect here. I basically copy, paste it, cut it out, and move the whole side effect to this point here. Okay, what I do is whenever the refresh interval changes, so select refresh interval, pretty intuitive. Whenever the refresh interval is changing, switch map to an interval, take the milliseconds, reset it. And whenever this interval is triggered, I fire my side effect tab here. Okay, there is of course a second thing that is triggering this side effect, and this is my button click. So let me introduce the merge operator from RxJS directly. And what I want to do is I want to basically merge together the button click and this automated tick here. So this is the automated tick and this is my refresh button clicks. And both of them is a trigger for my side effect. And my side effect then is applied down here with another operator, which is the tab operator. So let me quickly move it in. Beautiful. Okay, this is a side effect that triggers this line. So this is a trigger that triggers this side effect here. How to maintain a subscription? We don't want to maintain it manually. So what I will do is I will leverage the hold method. This dot hold, and here I can basically place my refresh side effect. If this is too confusing and too compact for you, you could also cut out the side effect itself, the dispatch method, and you can provide it a separate parameter to have an line that you can read and understand a little bit better. So this is now my trigger and this is now the side effect. A one-liner that maintains your subscription, unsubscribes, resubscribes, and do everything related to your side effect. With this function, we can delete a lot of more code. We don't need an ng on destroy. We don't need ng on init. We don't need to maintain this side effect. We don't need to have a click callback, so we can delete all of those lines. We don't need to implement them. And of course, there is this subscription here that we can also get rid of. This is pretty cool, and everything is very, very compact in these few lines of code here. As a last thing, I want to fix the output binding because hold was one of the things that was missing from the API. Now let me give you a small shortcut, or let's say a tiny trick to play well with your output bindings. I basically here in my first component, I maintained this output that was called list expanded. If you remember, I quickly show it here. And this output binding that is here to forward the expanded state of the component to your parent could now be replaced. So I don't need this property anymore, as you can see. And this was a subject previously. And as I have my state now that is maintaining this stuff, I can say this select. And in this case, I select the list expanded state and directly, really sneaky, connect this part of the state with my output binding, and it is working. I could also fix some cleanups in the template and get rid of the rest and have even less code. If we take a look now at what we have present, we have an input binding and an output binding. Both are one-liners that maintain and connect the state, and we have well structured the initialization. We connect the expand handle, we connect the global state, and we hold our side effect. Pretty cool. Let me go back. As we can see, we can click it, we can expand it, we can also put some numbers here, and it is basically working, and we are fully reactive now. We have not a single thing left. This is the power of the component state. So it is a very, very small and sleek API that helps you to provide only one-way glue and subscription handling for your side effects, input and output bindings, as well as helps you to maintain this state on a component level. Now let me go back to the presentation. I know it is a lot and very fast, but I really want to give you all the sneak peeks and the really advanced stuff that might get released in the future. So now I, of course, know that I have to switch to my presentation because otherwise you will not see it. And I hope that everybody sees the slides now, and I switched from my code to my slides, and WebDev can interrupt me if it is not visible. If yes, I will introduce strategies of NGRX component.
We can see the slides. Yeah, we can see.
Thanks, Dave, for your input. Why is this a critical part? These are two PRs that are not merged at the moment. And the current state, at least for the team, it is unsure if the strategies and all the setup is for a mean, if it is really meant to be in the NGRX component level state. So there is this discussion in the background. But in the meantime, I merged them together and will demonstrate you their power. So we already spoke about the push pipe and the let directive in other talks that I gave. Also, there are some blog posts online, and they tell you that there is the push pipe and the let directive. The push pipe is a replacement for your async pipe. If you just put the push pipe in, you will get a little bit better performance, and you will also have by default an application, if fully reactive, that also works zoneless. But you still have to turn off zone, of course, if you want to leverage the full power of this zoneless thing. The second thing that I released is the let pipe, and the let pipe is a way to bind an observable value to the template. I quickly sketched it before. In addition to just binding an observable, I now have the fully reactive context. I have error and complete state here, and I could show an error message or a complete statement or a loading spinner based on that stuff. But this is the fundamental stuff that is live now. Let me show you what's not live now. Let me show you strategies. So if I scroll down and I open my, whoops, give me a second, and I open my code again. So now I switch to my code and I go to solution. Here in solution, as you can see, in the template, I use, in the template, I use the let directive, and in the parent component, I use the push pipe to basically render all my changes. So this would be, give me a second. Where is it? Container. This would be here. I use the push pipe. Both the let directive and the push pipe get maintain or will provide the ability in the future to receive some strategy. With the push pipe, it is a parameter and I pass a string. In this case, I passed global because at the moment I set global as the default strategy. So I could also delete it and keep it as it is, but just that you see global is the default strategy. And here I have the same with the let directive in the template. And here I have a strategy also global. So let me explain to you what global does. And to do this, I basically switch back to my slides. So now you can see my slides and I show you what the global strategy does. So here you have this LC, this list component, where the zone box and the change box is targeting the green box. This is the place where a change appears, where a change occurs. I click the button or I update the list. By default, I use mark 30, or in Ivy, I use mark for check in not Ivy, and in Ivy mark 30. Mark 30 also works without zone, so I could turn off zone, and if everything would be fully reactive, I could have this cool performance. But what's interesting on mark dirty is it first traverses up, creates a path where every component is marked dirty, and then my application reference will render everything until the tiniest part of my application is re-rendered. So I draw this path to the very top of my application and down. Let me show you what it means for our renderings. I go to my browser. Now you should see my browser. Only if not, WebDev interrupt me, only if not. If yes, please, no interruption. So here I have this loading state. And as you can see, if I click the button, my parent and my component update. And if the refresh is done, I do it again. Here now its number is 6 in my parent and 6 in the child. If I click, now it's 7 in the parent, 7 in the child. Request arrives, and now it is 8 in the parent and 8 in the child. So you see, I first go up and then I go down, which is pretty useless, right? So what I can do is I can switch to a strategy that I call local. And if I switch to the local strategy, what I do is something pretty interesting. I use detect change to only and really only render the part of my component, the very component that is targeted and all its children. I don't go up to the top. What is the difference? Let me open up the code again. So I quickly switch to my browser now, which is visible. And if I click, I have one change on the click, but then the result now is only updating the child here and not the parent. Let me do it again. The click triggers both, and the result, the response from the server now only updates the client. This is pretty cool. This is a way how if we code really reactive and carefully, we can save a lot of performance because we only render changes when they are needed. Unfortunately, there is zone, and zone basically patches the button click, and so this useless button click is triggering a re-rendering from the whole component tree down to the very leaf, which, if we are honest, sucks. So let me switch to my presentation that you can see the other part. So now I present the local strategy to you, and as you can see, the local strategy, if triggered over really the strategy itself, only renders this part there where it's interesting to have the render change, the changes rendered, and not the rest. Unfortunately, the button click was interfering, and zone in parallel went up and marked some components as dirty. But still, with the local components, with the local strategy, we are really way more performant. The only bad thing, and I will talk about now about the really breaking change, or not breaking change, but tremendous change that all the strategies will introduce. I show you that zone, even if you only render the child components, even if you take care about change detection and push and so on and so forth, will unnecessarily render other parts of your application. If you forget to set detect changes on push, or if you do some other stuff, zone will basically influence and call unnecessary renderings. So you have two options. You can disable zone, or you can enable something that is called the detach strategy. And this is really the game changer in this whole presentation. So let's first talk about why and what would it mean to us to disable zone. So if we would disable zone, it would mean we would have to create a fully reactive Angular application. So every single component is fully reactive. We only use the async pipe, the push pipe or the let directive in the template. And we also ensure that all the parts of our application is connected to the Rx state, to the component state. And as you might guess, it is not so easy to migrate a very big application to a fully zoneless application. So this is a costly, time intense, and very, very difficult. And I can tell you it is really difficult. So what can we do second? We can introduce a strategy that is called detach. Detach basically brings you incredible, brutal performance even when zone running. So I crossed zone here. It means I don't care if you turn on zone or not. It will bring always the same performance, and it will never render unnecessarily. It only renders the very component where you apply it. How is this rendering strategy working? What I do is when I bootstrap the component, the first render of the component will basically detach the component from the DOM. So no change, even if I have changed detection default on and not on push, no change, nothing, no zone, nothing will render anything on this component. It is not working. If I now trigger re-rendering over either the push pipe or the let directive, and I have detach change on, what's happening is I will reattach the component to the DOM. I will re-render the component view, and then I will detach the component again from the tree. And in this case, I only and really only render only this component when it is needed and nothing else in my whole application, which means components that have this detached method turned on don't only perform itself as you would write a zoneless application, they also affect all their parents to don't have those I bubble up and I go down behavior that is triggered by zone itself. For me, this was a game changer and really incredible cool. And maybe you take some time to think about what it means if you can bring in zoneless performance without disabling zone. Pretty cool, right? I have to give some credits on GitHub. The username is called Bubbles. It's a very good contributor on the NGRX. On the NGXRX, on this library that I release, on this project, GitHub project that I release, which is containing the state. And he also brought up this idea of the detach strategy. So thanks, Pebbles, for your input. And now let me demo as a last thing, and I know I already spoke for about 40 minutes, I believe. Let me show you the real power of this strategy. I end my presentation and I go here and okay. If I click, we see only this part is rendering, but if I animate and I open and close, you see I have a lot of unnecessary renderings due to zone. And this is not really good. So what I do is I will switch the strategy to detach. And if I do this in my parent, also in my child, and I share the screen again, this was the first render in a second, and now I will animate. And you see the whole animation only triggers one re-rendering in the component, and the complete application is now not re-rendering, because before, even if we had like a strategy local, we re-rendered from the very top to the very bottom, and we had all these other components and zone influence stuff that was re-rendering over and over and over again. Now we have this one change, which is basically tracking the change from open to closed with the animation. The parent is completely untouched and has no more renderings. Incredibly cool, right? I'm so motivated to present this. Let me show you the original state. I click the animation and I have a lot of renderings multiple times. If I go to the solution, I have no rendering here and only one change at the very bottom. This is zone-less performance in zone-full Angular applications. let me finish up. The screen sharing was okay. Let me finish up and let me share my slides again and let me present the roadmap. So you know there is Rx state that is the glue between your input and output bindings and the state, which is a pretty helpful and powerful tool. There are Angularians that helps you to directly bind observables to the component, and then there is also the push pipe. And those two things help you to control the rendering strategies. What's on the roadmap? I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of ideas on a global level. I have a lot of ideas on the component level. So far, the component level is equipped with Rx state, the reactive component state, and this very beautiful and symmetric API. There is the let directive and the push pipe, and there are these strategies, especially the detach strategy, which will give you incredible performance. What's up next? Maybe you can tell me, because I'm very interested in your ideas. I will work at least for the next 1.5 years on a couple of tools that I have in mind that will bring us even better performance, even easier reactive Angular applications, even less code. Just think about, we reduced the lines of code in this example by over 45%. Which is really cool, and we had automated subscription handling. So if you have a cool idea that also could improve everything, just open an issue on my repository on GitHub under my username and then ngx-rx, and you can basically get all my feedback. Shout out, I will give a workshop on the 25th and 26th. It is about reactive architecture and UI patterns. It's a masterclass workshop. So I expect you to know the basics very well of RxJS, because we will do pretty advanced stuff. We will introduce some stuff that I showed you now. We will also do some other very important patterns that help you to bring more performance to your code base, to shrink down the number of lines of code, and also give you more safety and a more bulletproof and stable UI. Thanks for your time. I'm very happy that I didn't mess up everything with these PRs that I demonstrated you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I will start now to read in the YouTube channel. Maybe Darius can already start to ask me some questions from YouTube. Otherwise, you can also ping me every second over Twitter. Here is my Twitter handle. And thanks again for your time.
Okay, Michael, thank you so much. Big applause for Michael. Yeah, it was a great presentation. So one more time, thank you, bro. Amazing,
I'm really
stuff.
excited because I never had the chance to present the strategies, which is a really recent work that I did. And as you can see, the trick of having like some less performance in some full Angular applications and this by component is, I guess you understand why I'm so excited.
Amazing.
Are there any questions from the YouTube channel?
Yeah, you can answer the question.
Which one? I didn't have time to read all the questions while I was coding and presenting.
No.
No,
Why?
the code. Let me scroll. In Rx state, I don't have an action in the side effect that just for syncing the global state, which is optional. Huh? Okay, I guess I cannot scroll through all those questions. Maybe Dave, can you, or Darius, can you pick just one of them and I will answer it?
Just choose one and answer.
Okay, then I have to read. What was the reading part? How is it working? Okay.
How to
This
specify?
is something Angular should have provided out of the box. Lars Brink, thanks, Lars. Yeah, this is not a really question, but a good answer. This is something Angular should have provided out of the box. Even more interesting, the stuff is working at the moment. So it was not really complicated to set up an API that can leverage this power. And Redux.
How to specify detached strategy?
One more thing by default, and then we stop the stuff. Angular could have provided it by default. At the moment, I'm not even sure if the NGRX team will merge those PRs to their repository, because there is some discussion if it will bring any benefit to the component or to NGRX. So I will wait for those PRs, and if they will not get merged, I publish it under some other library. If not, expect even more cooler changes related to this component performance stuff in NGRX component package. Darius, what do you say?
Okay, so I think it is enough for today. It was so great content. Okay, just before we end the meeting, I want to invite you to tomorrow's all-day broadcast of NG Poland 2019. We start at 9 in the morning, and it is all-day broadcast. So one more time, thank you so much. It was a pure pleasure to see you. And yeah, see you tomorrow. Thank you so much, guys.
See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye.